Controlling parents can have a very detrimental impact on their children's development, on their self-esteem, on their mental health. And there are a lot of controlling parents out there, and not all controlling parents are narcissistic, but most narcissistic parents are controlling in some variety. And that control can come in a lot of different ways. It can be a lot of criticism. You can never do anything right. It can be a lot of involvement in your affairs, trying to do things for you, telling you how to do things, micromanaging the way you do things. It can be trying to control where you go, what you do, what degree you have, how you cut your hair, how you look, how you dress. There is a learned helplessness that comes as a result of having a controlling narcissistic parent. And what learned helplessness is, when you're a child and you're constantly being micromanaged and controlled and belittled and told, no, it's not this way, you should be doing it that way, or why don't you do this right? You're always constantly being interjected and not allowed to do things on your own and learn on your own and make mistakes on your own. You start to develop this view of yourself that you're incapable, that you are not competent, that you can't do things right, because you're constantly being told that by the interjecting, controlling parent. And this behavior can have such a negative impact on the way we view ourselves, on our self-esteem. Because if we have had this kind of parenting from a young age, chances are we might go into adulthood with arrested development, meaning that we don't launch at a appropriate age. We hang around longer than we should at home with the narcissistic parent. And a lot of the times, narcissistic parents, they create this environment for their children to not thrive. It contribute to disabling their children. And a lot of the time they might, relish at having that control over their adult child who is still dependent on them and still living with them at home and still kind of, going along with the narcissistic parent's narrative, because they have learned helplessness, because their self-esteem is not good, because they haven't developed in the way that they should, because they didn't have a parent that was able to support their healthy development. So as a result, the adult child then has to take on that responsibility for themselves. When we recognize that we're in this kind of codependent, learned helplessness situation with a toxic or controlling parent, it becomes very important for us to see it for what it is, to see it for a situation in which we are being encouraged to be stuck. These parents can be very insidious because they do things that seem very kind and helpful, but in reality are actually disabling you. Like trying to get involved in all of your affairs, even saving you financially, which can seem like a great thing, right? They're helping me financially. That's a good thing. But again, that plays into saving you from things that you're capable of doing yourself. So that sends you the message that you're incapable. You're incapable of being able to be financially secure and support yourself. You're incapable of making decisions on your own. You're incapable of making choices. You're incapable of this. You're incapable of that, because that is the message you receive when your parents are constantly getting involved in your affairs and trying to control the narrative. And even things like making you pay the rent, right? That might seem reasonable. Oh, they're making me pay the rent. I do live in their house after all. That can actually also be kind of controlling, because think about it. You live at home. You're not financially independent enough to move out. And that's kind of an opportunity for you to save your money so that you can be able to leave. That's a form of support that you could actually use from them, right? To keep some of your money so that you can move out eventually. But this is kind of a way of them keeping you right where you're at, right? If they're taking a portion of your money and you're not making enough to move out, you're not making enough to save, there you go. You're stuck there because you're paying them rent. So you're going to have to up your game in terms of the money you make in order to get out of there. Because we do live in a day and age now where things are more expensive, there's inflation. So the support that we need from our parents when we're young adults is to encourage us, to believe in us, to support us in our dreams, in our aspirations, and to believe in our capability to achieve those things. Not to disable us and enable us by saving us, by getting involved in all of our affairs, by trying to get involved in our choices and our decisions. And a lot of parents who do this may have good intentions, right? Because there is a sense of anxiety that they have. They don't like to see their children struggling. They don't want to see you in a situation where you have to fall to get yourself back up. So they do this more as a way to kind of soothe their own anxiety sometimes. But narcissistic parents do this to maintain control, right? Narcissistic parents who are controlling, they do this because they want you as their source of supply. And so one way that they get you to stay exactly where they want you is trying to make you believe that you're not capable and that, you can't do it without them. You're going to fail. You need them to survive. They want to be your life support. And they don't care how that's negatively impacting you. They don't care that that's causing you to have learned helplessness and low self-esteem and no belief in yourself. They're destroying your self-esteem with their insults and their undermining and their constant getting in your business. But they don't care about the impact that that's having on you because they have you where they want you. Their source of supply, under their roof, under their control, dependent on them. That's what they want. Having your own career, having your own money, having your own business, whatever it is that you do to support yourself is your freedom. Okay? It is very important. I know they say money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure does buy peace of mind. When you have your money, you don't have to answer to any narcissist. You don't have to be under the control of anybody. You will have so much more autonomy over your life when you're not dependent on somebody else financially. And this can also go for the case that you're in a narcissistic relationship. You're married to a person with narcissistic personality traits. If you're dependent on them financially, it's really a good idea to look for a way to make some income, to save for yourself, because financial dependence can keep us stuck in narcissistic relationships like nobody's business, right? It's a huge source of narcissistic abuse. Because when the narcissistic person knows that you depend on them financially, best believe they're going to leverage that over your head constantly and use it to manipulate you and to guilt you into doing what they want. You'll feel bad because you'll say, yeah, well, they are actually helping me. They're supporting me financially. I guess I do owe them, right? And there you are. You're under their control. We talk a lot about, the mental aspect of releasing ourselves from a narcissistic relationship. And another huge part of that is financial, because even if you're disconnected from them mentally and you're able to set boundaries and not take their behavior personally and see them for who they are, if you don't have the financial means of getting yourself out of that relationship, or at least having the financial means to protect yourself from one day being discarded by them or whatever the case may be, narcissists can be, unpredictable when they get found out, you will stay stuck with them because you don't have an out. How are you going to support yourself? So the best thing you can do is, while you're with a narcissistic person, before, you break up with them or they discard you or the drama happens, you don't know what they could be capable of doing. You gotta have your finances. You gotta have your money. Your money is your freedom. You don't have money, you don't have freedom in this society. That's how it works. And a lot of us might say that's not fair and it's da-da-da-da-da. Well, it is what it is. So in order to protect ourselves from users, from toxic people, from manipulators, from abusers, we need to have our finances in order. This is so important. So important. Whatever the case may be, if you are with living in a narcissistic parent's home, make sure whatever money they're giving you, you're saving some of it. Whatever money you're making, you're saving some of it. Start to build a savings. Start to build your foundation for escape, or foundation for a rainy day in case something hits the fan with them, okay? Because they're abusers. They will get upset, and you know when narcissists get upset, they will start chaos and a tornado. So you want to be prepared for that. If you're a wife living in the home with a narcissistic person, or your husband, you're not the main bread maker, the main money maker, you're relying on your narcissistic partner, save the money that you get. Save any money that you have, you know? And narcissists, sometimes they're so controlling that they will watch your spending and have access to your bank accounts, and because they know that money is freedom. They know that. So they might not want you to have it because they want that to be a source of control for them. So they might really monitor what you're doing with your money, how much money you're making, how much money you're spending, making you pay rent if you're a child living in the home, to try to keep you as financially dependent on them, to not have money to be able to make your escape. So keep all this in mind. Money is so important when it comes to being in a narcissistic relationship, because they use it as leverage all the time, and you don't want to give them that opportunity to use your financial dependence on them as leverage. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for allowing me to be on this healing journey with you. I'll see you in the next one.